Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won. Yeah. I hope my team they won. Yeah. Man, I hope my team they won. Yeah. I hope my team they won. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon'
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Mike Washington is out on assignment, so we have none other than Brian Fulford doing double time this week after doing his show on Sunday with AD. And they'll be back at it to give you some updates. So welcome to episode 651 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, radio show and podcast, a show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports. I should say 653. And counting, boy, those numbers keep getting on. We're sharing our insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics, to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs and the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta, along with my co-hosts, Charles Bishop and Brian Fulford. We're filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to K-Switch 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, multi-Hall of Famer, I should say, Ralph Cooper, in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. Brian, how are you doing today?
Oh, excuse me, Doc. I'm doing well this evening. Just trying to get ready for the draft. Saying my prayers and hoping that a big trade happens and we draft another quarterback. That's all.
Hope springs eternal. Hope springs eternal. Charles, what is your hope springing?
Jared Jones leads the draft room, but beyond that.
Hey, didn't he say something about he prepared for some big things, major trade? What is something big?
Yeah, if he could just let Will McClay do his thing, I'd be happy.
All right. Well, there it is. Spring eternal. Hope springs eternal.
Hope springs eternal. Yeah.
With that, Charles, I want to talk about the HBCU sports ecosystem symposium that you were able to be a part of today, listening in as we brought in two commissioners. That is Dr. Charles McCullin, the SWAC commissioner, who spoke to students about breaking into the industry, also of those young individuals, mid-management folks that are in sports, if you would. And then we had Dr. Anthony Holloman, who was the second interview or session of the day, the commissioner of the SIAC, and he spoke about thriving in the industry. A lot of students had some great questions. Appreciate you bringing your students along. We had athletic trainers who came and supported and got some question and answer. Other individuals in communication that won't have interest in sports were there. What were your thoughts in terms of the event for the day?
Tremendous symposium, man. And then to get the tremendous insight from both commissioners of the SWAC and the SIAC. Dr. McClellan was, very upfront in terms of some things that he was talking about with regards to the direction that the Southwestern Athletic Conference is moving towards. Dr. Holloman talked about kind of the need for some congressional oversight in terms of how college athletics is looking. So it was a tremendous symposium in terms of just kind of taking a look at both commissioners and where they view their respective conferences, Brian.
Mm-hmm. Man, I really wish I had more time, Charles, to attend events like that. It sounds like it was a positive event. It was a kind of event that is worth having. And of course, I mean, whenever you can pull in two commissioners from of the ilk and from the representing conferences, I think it speaks volume to this symposium. This was the first year that this was put together, or this something that had been planned or put together in previous years?
This is well, Dr. Cavil has done symposiums before, but for this spring semester, obviously, we have the respective commissioners coming in today. We have some athletic directors that will be in Houston tomorrow, continuing the symposium, but just getting sort of their background in terms of how they ascended to where they are. And it was both of them have a very varied background in terms of Dr. McClellan talking about, starting out as an athlete at Prairie View and the various roles that he held at Prairie View before eventually he ends up into athletics, and the way that they both sort of ascend to becoming commissioners. Both have a very diverse background, business background, marketing background, and administrative background. So I thought that was very interesting. And I thought, Dr. McClellan just talking about, he dropped some nuggets that I'm sure, will come out, relatively soon. But just in terms of some things that the SWAC is going to be doing, especially from a television perspective. So I thought that was very fascinating to listen to. And I'm sure, in the upcoming months or weeks, upcoming months or whatever the case might be, that they'll talk more about some of the things that they're looking to do. But I'm really excited for the direction that the SWAC is moving towards. And the same thing for the SIAC. I think both represented the Division I, Division II, respectively, in terms of some of the things that they're going to be doing. So I'm really excited. So
no breaking news. Is that what you're telling me? My ears perked up when you like, wait a minute, what TV? What? My ears perked up. Come on now, Charles. Beat us.
I'm not the breaker of news guy. That stuff will come out, eventually. But yeah, I thought it's videotape, so I'm sure it'll get out there at some point. So I think some of the things that both of them were talking about is listen, and people have to understand we got some very, very bright people that are leading these respective conferences, and I don't care whether you're talking about the SWAC, MEAC, CIAA, HBCU, AC. You just have to be really excited about the future of HBCU athletics, because we have some very broad thinking commissioners, and with their varied expertise and varied backgrounds, they really are at the forefront at the changing landscape of college athletics.
I think we are a community that is very hungry, Charles. We want progress. We want it now. We feel like, and I think part of that is because we have watched from the peripheral of everybody else around us eat, get fat, and drive big cars riding down the neighborhood streets, right? And we are modestly moving, and it's like,
right.
Let's be patient. Let's keep grinding. And it's like, come on, man. We how much longer we gotta wait? I want some food on the plate,
Yeah. I think it's an interesting perspective in terms of sometimes the progress that's happening. Obviously, we don't see it, feel it, touch it, but I guess in a manner today, you know that there are things that are in the works. So that sort of makes me step back and pause, like, oh, you know what? This is really interesting. This is just from the perspective of I like the way these guys are thinking, and I love the fact that they're at the front of the line in terms of where they are positioning their respective conferences.
And I say all that with a little bit of jest, but I do think we have to be more appreciative of the fact that the past year, especially in football, we saw such a tremendous growth in the availability of games.
Yeah.
Unprecedented number of games were available every week.
Yeah.
And so I think the next step is to not only see that, hopefully continue to see that in football, but also begin to start seeing that in our other sports as well. And I think that will that will feed the appetite a little bit, because it's like you didn't give it. Football ends up being like the main course,
Yeah,
and then it's like going from after you feasted on football, then the next 6 months you're kind of like, man, I got to go on a diet. I got to.
yeah.
It's like I want to keep eating. I don't want to go on a diet. I mean, you tell me to go to salad after that, and it's like, no, man, you gave me steak and chicken and shrimp and lobster, and it's like, oh, now I got to go to salad coming into December, and it's a hard reversal of fortune. For anybody who has tried to lose weight. That's tough. It's
hey,
those of us who have been in the struggle, we know.
Right? Exactly. But Brian, I think we're all fans. We're all vested, if you will, in our respective schools within the conference. And I guess, for lack of better words, that things are in good hands. And once upon a time, you could not always say that this conference was in good hands. I mean, Dr. McClellan talked about that today, how he turned down a job a couple of times before eventually saying yes to taking over as commissioner. And you talk about the availability of games. I mean, we are light years from where we were not that long ago. So, you just sort of take that with a grain, if you will, and you move forward. But I tell you what, to be a part of an experience like this, I'm glad Dr. Cavil was able to gather these heads of state, if you will, in terms of the commissioners and the athletic directors tomorrow. I jokingly tell him all the time he's the AD whisperer. He's the commissioner whisperer. But when he's able to bring these individuals in a symposium format to really get into the nuts and bolts of how they thrive in the business, how they got there, and what they're trying to do, it's really fascinating to sit back and watch.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I tell you what, let's take a quick break. We'll come back on the other side. We'll get into some more HBCU news, and we also will have a guest, and I'm sure Doctor will be back on when we come back. So let's take a break here on Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab.
Planning an event? From weddings to corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC brings over 15 years of experience to make your vision a reality. Based in Metro Atlanta and serving statewide, even internationally, we provide versatile event planning and authentic catering cuisines tailored to your needs. Whether it's pre-game meals for student athletes, fundraisers, weddings, corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC is your one-stop solution for exceptional service and unforgettable food. Our diverse culinary heritage means we cater to all cultural taste, dietary needs, and food restrictions, making every meal uniquely yours. Let's make your next event unforgettable. Visit us on all social media at CMJ Events LLC or email us at cmjeventsllc@gmail.com. Also give us a call at 404-664-3882 so that we can start planning now.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavil of Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Compress the analytic data with your hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Coming in back in for the second segment. Man, I tell you, computer just decided to die. I think we're waiting to bring in Coach Hernandez for the second segment. Head baseball coach of Bethune-Cookman University. We'll get him in here and see how things are going for him as they have made it to Arkansas. Coach Hernandez, how's it going today?
Everything's going good. Started early, 3:30 wake up call for the baseball team as we flew out of Orlando, connected in St. Louis and landed in Little Rock and made our track down to, Pine Bluff here. And we just wrapped up practice, ready for a big weekend. Hope you guys are all doing well and, appreciate you guys having me on.
Oh, it's our pleasure. You certainly good to have you on. Particularly at this time, you coming off of playing some really good baseball. Got a sweep across your rivals, which put you at the top of the conference standings a week out of just passing what I would call midterm assessments. So with that being said, let us know, what did you think about after the first half of the season, how your team is playing at this point?
I think we're playing well. I think that we've all known it starts with pitching and defense. Our starting pitching has done, a really good job the last couple of weeks, and the bullpen has finally kind of turned the corner from what it was in the beginning of the year. We had some, small injuries that, we had to deal with, and now everyone's, back healthy, thank God. And, I think the one thing that has changed for us this year is our offense. We've built our offense a little bit different. We got a little bit more physical. Now we're able to be, we can run, we can cause chaos, but we can also hit for power. I think we have like 59 or approaching 60 home runs, and that's the most home runs, at Bethune that I've been here, with our offense. So we're just firing on all cylinders. And I think the biggest thing is when you have a team come together organically, I think that's special too. So, these guys are doing a phenomenal job, and, looking forward to another great week here in Arkansas, Pine Bluff.
Yeah, playing pretty good. Professor Bishop and Professor Forford, Charles is with the sport management program, so he does grades. He's quite a challenging professor. Professor Forford is trying to learn himself. He's doing the K through 12, but he sneaks up and he gives grades as well. But both of them reluctantly gave you A's. I mean, I didn't understand what so much reluctant, but I'd imagine yourself, Coach, you want the grades at the end of the year anyway. So we'll see how that goes. With that being said, let me let Charles jump here and ask you a follow-up question.
How you doing, Coach?
Hey, Charles, what's going on?
Let me ask you, because this Arkansas Pine Bluff team, they've won 6 out of their last 7. They're 3 games over 500 in conference play, but it's not the Arkansas Pine Bluff team of the past few years. They went into Texas Southern, they swept them, they swept Southern on last weekend. But what is it that you've seen from I guess your look-see from this Pine Bluff team? This is a big series.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I can, I guess take away from Pine Bluff, because this is the first time that I've been able to experience playing Pine Bluff this weekend. I think that Coach Stout has done a phenomenal job this first year, being able to lay the groundwork and the foundation for his vision, what he wants his program to be, for the long haul. So it's a team. Listen, I enjoy the new schedule format where we got rid of divisions and we're able to play everybody one time. I think it's great, not only for the baseball programs, the student athletes get to experience, another campus, get to see, something different than what they're, I guess, accustomed to. I think it makes the league a little bit more competitive. Not to say that it wasn't before, but now, we have, any day, you can't take a day off. It doesn't matter who you play. Mississippi Valley has improved. So as we mentioned, and alluded to, Arkansas Pine Bluff is playing some really good baseball. We have to stay true to who we are, and we can't worry about everybody else. We have to just control what we can and play the game the right way and take advantage of opportunities when they're presenting themselves. But, to your point, Coach Stout and his staff have done a phenomenal job, laying down the groundwork and the foundation for what his vision is for his program. And, looking forward to go head-to-head with the Golden Lions of Pine Bluff.
Coach, does it provide like an edge just to get an opportunity to see some teams that would have been in the SWAC West by the time you get to the tournament?
I don't know if it provides an edge, to be honest with you, because it could be a situation where, you play a team early on in the year. They're not going to be the same team come around conference tournament time. I think with all the analytics and on the scouting resources that are available to institutions for those who choose to utilize them, I think that you just go based on what you see. But again, you don't change who you are as a program. You don't change your philosophy because you're playing an East team or a West team, excuse me. You just have to attack the day and then win every inning. Instead of playing 1 9-inning game, you want to play 9 1-inning games. So it's a situation for us. We're just trying to win every inning that we can. And when the opportunities present themselves, we have to be able to take advantage of those, regardless of who we're playing, in conference and out of conference.
No doubt.
Brian, go ahead.
Hey, Coach Hernandez, good to see you. Let me first do this. I got I'm gonna say congratulations on the series. This is the one year where I'm thankful we don't have to play y'all twice because, I don't know if I can handle watching y'all do what you did another weekend. Very impressive performance. I was there for the first 2 games. I tried not to show up for game 3 because I'm thinking it was me. And come to find out, now it was y'all's pitching. It was the pitching that Bethune-Cookman has is the reason why you guys held FAMU. I'd like for you to talk a little bit about that. I mean, your pitchers, I'm just looking at the stats. 10 games played, 10 started. I mean, that kind of consistency is strong. Talk a little bit about the starters and what they provide the rest of the pitching staff. I mean, they've done a great job at handling their role as starters.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Tanner Bocabello, right? For last year, was the newcomer of the year, and he had some preseason accolades, and he's kind of lived up to the bill. I believe he's 7-1 or 8-1 going into the weekend, and that's the guy that's going to set the tone for the weekend. And then you have Joel Corey, who's a sophomore, and last year, I think that he got a lot of experience being able to pitch in our midweek games. And as we all know, our midweek schedule, it's a gauntlet, right? It's Miami, Florida, Florida State, all the top mid-major programs in the state of Florida. So as a freshman, he was able to hold his own, and it gave him the experience needed to be able to piggyback off of Tanner Bocabello. And then on Sunday, we have a junior college transfer from El Paso Community College in Texas, Edwin Sanchez, that's able to finish the weekend for us. So, those 3 guys have done a phenomenal job. Their work ethic, the work with Coach Sanchez, our pitching coach here at Bethune, and, our athletic training staff, keeping those guys healthy, and our strength staff as well. Coach Whitener does a really good job with our strength and conditioning program with our baseball players and our student athletes. And it all ties in together. It's not just one person, it's not just me. It's everybody collectively on the same page to be able to accomplish something special at the end of the year. And not only the starting pitching, but now you're seeing that the bullpen is starting to pick up a little bit, and again, it was a little rough for us the first couple of weeks of the season, but once the roles have been identified and the guys accepted their roles, it's special, where everybody's competing against each other and everyone wants the ball in a high leverage situation. It's like everyone's trying to avoid pitching when we're up or down by 10. They want that high leverage situation, and that experience, I think it's going to play crucial coming down the stretch with the final 4 weeks of the SWAC regular season, as we head to the conference tournament in Birmingham.
Yeah. I want to follow up and ask you that series last weekend, first place series against Florida A&M, was played away from home. And I didn't really get a chance to ask or find out what went into playing that series at the historic Sanford Memorial Stadium, which is a really nice ballpark. I thought you had a good crowd that showed up. There was even some Rattlers who showed up, but I mean, it was a good crowd for at least 2 of the games. And I think even Saturday was probably better than the Thursday, Friday. But what went into moving that game away from your stadium in Daytona Beach?
So we had 3 series this season. Obviously with the new schedule format, there's no switching home and home. The schedule, it is what it is. So it was 3 series that conflicted with the professional baseball team in town with the Daytona Tortugas. As you know, we do share the minor league stadium with the Daytona Tortugas, and we're currently going through a $40 million facility renovation project that we're very fortunate and blessed to also be a part of, and that's going to assist us, not only in our student athlete experience with the players on the current roster, but also recruiting. It's going to play dividends down the road, in my opinion. So when that situation came out, it was a no-brainer. to be able to have the series, played over at Sanford. Not only, it's a 45-minute drive, so it's not that bad, for us driving back and forth. If anything, I gave the visiting teams an opportunity to be able to stay locally, but the historical significance of the historic Sanford Stadium, a lot of people may not know, but Jackie Robinson actually started playing there at Sanford prior to his arrival going to Daytona. So just the fact that we were able to play at a historical stadium with the significance of Jackie Robinson and the relationship with Jackie Robinson and Mary McLeod Bethune, our founder, there in Daytona, that has allowed us to be able to play at Jackie Robinson Ballpark, it all ties in. And you're right, Brian, it was a great crowd. I love playing there because I felt that the fans were on top of both teams. And the one thing at Jackie Robinson Ballpark is it is a minor league stadium that holds 4,500 people. But when you have 200 people, the stadium still feels that it's empty. So that was great. I mean, kudos to the fans of both, Florida A&M and Bethune-Cookman. It was rivalry weekend. It was a great crowd, great atmosphere. And I have to thank the city of Sanford and Gene Manning, the recreational supervisor, for allowing us the opportunity to be able to play games there at historic Sanford Stadium.
Well, congratulations on that. You guys, that was a good environment. I really enjoyed that. Was really looking at it and jealous, and was like, man, this what could be if we could get something like this in Tallahassee. That's just what I was thinking. But it was very cool environment. I saw some youth baseball teams there. It's always a good feeling when you see kids in the kids. Sometimes the kids are watching, sometimes they're out playing catch out in the hallways and out on the outside and stuff. And it was just a cool college baseball environment. So props and congratulations to everybody in putting that together. And it was pretty good experience.
Yeah, and I enjoyed it too. With the youth baseball players that come around. I mean, yeah, we're going through a game, but anytime I see, a young baseball player that's looking, whether it be at Bethune or FAMU, just watching the game and wanting to be enjoying the game of baseball and wanting to learn, I take the time out of my day to ensure, that I talk to an individual, whoever it is, whether they're 5 years old or 12, 13 years old, that to have them fall in love with the game of baseball, because it is a beautiful game, whether it's a game ball, whatever it is, just a memory that they're going to be able to take with them, because that's what we're here for. We're here to impact lives, and again, it's an honor to be able to lead this program with the rich tradition. And I don't, I never take that for granted. And I just have a different perspective to me being able to lead, the Wildcats here at Bethune-Cookman.
Yeah, I really appreciate that, because my son Deuce obviously was a beneficiary to that. In fact, he's a little upset now. My wife is traveling, so he's here. She took the extra cord, so he wanted to surprise you when I told him that you were coming on the show. So him and Miles do a little show. They got kicked off of their show because YouTube says that you got to be adult, so they were already not feeling good about that. So he thought he's gonna be a star. He's gonna surprise you. Had a question for you. Had his hat and everything, and he's not able to do it. So now he's emotional playing. He's like, I don't want to talk. I'll get it right now. So I just want to let you know that you do have a fan that is not happy that his dad is hogging his time instead of him getting to have at least a question with Coach Hernandez. So you're doing a great job in terms of that. Now,
thank you, Doc. And not to cut you off, and I'm sure we'll see each other down the road. Whatever I'm doing, I take the time out and spend time with Deuce. So, you just let Deuce know that, we'll have that one-on-one, interview down at Birmingham if you guys are able to make it there.
I know you're chasing a regular season championship, and a little different because it's not division, so you get to talk about a different championship. And we hadn't seen this not only since obviously expansion of the Florida schools, Bethune-Cookman and FAMU. This goes back to expansion in 98 when it was first split into 2-5 divisions. We hadn't seen all 8 teams, if you would, play for a full conference championship. So a lot of history with that opportunity there. But this is what I wanted to get into. This is a little more important. I sent you the information on the HBCU sports ecosystem series, if you would, symposium. And I know you know a lot of people. I know some people. Brian knows some people. Charles knows some people. Roy knows some people. And I know you know really some people. So I have my University of Virgin Islands shirt on. I was thinking about maybe University of Puerto Rico. We need to think about partnering and find a way to put a tournament preseason or something like that down that way. Give me a reason to, you know, get outside of the continental part of the U.S. and getting into these areas. So I just want to know what your thoughts on that. Is that something we need to work on? Do you feel good about that? Or is it just too much of your time? Even if we have to go to Bahamas, then I can make it international. I can make sure then my students can do some study abroad. Sport management, they need to work the event. So I just wanted to make sure you understood the importance of considering working with me to put this together.
Yeah, I think it's great. If we're able to, not only, showcase, the talents in the SWAC, right, outside of the U.S. I think that that's most important, especially in the landscape that we live in with the roster restrictions, the NIL, the transfer portal, and the day and age of that. I think it's, smart if we open up our avenues, and we open up our doors to different parts of the continents or different parts where maybe baseball is not a big thing, right? But not only do you brand yourself on the athletic side, I think the big part of this is branding the universities on the academic side and the academic profile to be able to bring in students that are going to one day, right, lead, companies or be able to, have their own businesses and give back to the HBCUs that provided them the opportunities. Again, especially in the landscape that we live in now with NIL, it's no, I guess no one can compete right now, right? The smaller schools, and this is being transparent as transparent can be. But if we're able to open the doors for students to be able to, future students to be able to acquire their degrees, whether it's their undergrad or their master's degree or their PhDs or so forth and so forth, they can be able to give back to the institutions that gave them that opportunity to be able to have success. So I think it's important, again, for me, it's not all about athletics. I see the whole piece of the pie. It's everybody working together. It's the 12 institutions coming together as one to be able to elevate the SWAC, not only on the athletic side, but on the academic side as well.
Mm-hmm. See, Charles, there's something magic when we all come together and we had this opportunity. So, Coach Hernandez, I can't thank you enough. In all seriousness, your ability to navigate the space and understand the bigger picture is why I enjoy talking to coaches, but particularly a coach like yourself. And then you find a way to add up some W's and get it done. So let me turn back. Last question here is I'll ask you a little bit about this weekend coming up. What are your expectations in terms of getting into this new ballpark and playing a different team? Do you tactically go at it the same, or is there's a different way that you look at this?
I don't think there's a different way. We can't deviate from who we are. We're built on pitching and defense. We're going to have to pitch. Starters are going to have to go deep in the games, and then defensively, we have to play clean defense. There's no excuse, for anybody. Hey, it's the same field for both teams. We have to play clean defense. We have to make the routine plays, make them routine. And then offensively, it's how quickly can we get to their pen. And when we had runners in scoring position and less than 2 outs, it's a we over me approach. Again, we can't deviate from who we are as a program because we're in Arkansas, and we flew out at 3 a.m. and our bodies are tired. There's no excuse because in life, you're going to face adversity, right? And you have two options. You coddle in a corner or, hey, you rise up to the challenge as so many people have done before us to be able to give us an opportunity to be where we are at, not only on the baseball field, the program, but in our lives. And that's a constant reminder to our student athletes that we have on our roster. So again, we don't deviate from who we are. And we can't worry about what anybody else is doing but the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats. That's the only thing we're worried about right now.
Sounds good. I'll clip this and make sure I send it to Jose Perez. He is alumni, big time Bethune-Cookman University fan, and he wanted to make sure that I shouted his support and how much of he's excited to seeing what's going on at the university, specifically how you're leading the baseball program. So I wanted to get in that. I think Charles has a follow-up question he wants to get in here,
Just real
and I'll
quick.
let him do that.
Yeah, real quick, Coach. And I'm just curious. Every so often, there's a new something or a new emerging trend that comes along in college baseball or baseball in general. Now, I was just curious, through the first half of the season, have you seen, I don't know, any new pitches or just a something that has been emerging this past season?
Not really. I think it's the same game. I think you just have to simplify it. You can't overthink it. The one thing I noticed the offensive numbers too have gone up. That's something that I've seen, and I think that was expected once we got everybody together. Because we've even on this show, I know you guys have said where the West has the offense and the East has the pitching, and now it's kind of balancing itself out. But as far as like anything crazy, no. We played some of these teams in the conference tournament. As far as like the West teams is concerned, and obviously we've had our battles with all of our teams in the East. But I think the one thing though is how well everyone is pushing the conference forward. Mississippi Valley has improved. UAPB obviously has improved. Everyone in the conference has improved, and that's credited to the hard work of the head coaches of each program, respectively, of the assistant coaches that work alongside with the head coaches, and then the student athletes and the support of the administration of each institution to be able to elevate, the baseball programs in the SWAC, making it, baseball is the one sport that can, assist the SWAC on a national level. And I know football is, the moneymaker, and basketball also, but, there's something to say about baseball and the success that all the baseball programs have had against non-conference Division I opponents.
Certainly in agreement with that. Our bags are packed. As you said, we will see each other pretty soon. We'll certainly be in Birmingham. Deuces is ready to go, so we're excited about that trip. And it doesn't look like a problem that Bethune-Cookman certainly will be there, looking and fighting for a championship. So with that, Coach, if there's any final comments, we'll let you have that now.
No, I mean, just, any alumni that are out there, from any institution, make sure you go out and support the baseball programs. There's really good baseball, especially down the stretch. The last 4 weeks, and then we get to Birmingham. And again, when we get to Birmingham, again, alumni support. Let's show these student athletes that we care about what they're doing. They're giving everything for their institutions, day in and day out. And the one way that, alumni can give back is, we're not asking monetary either. It's just show the support. Let them know that, you're out there supporting your institution. So, looking forward to the last 4 weeks of the season. Thank you guys once again for having me on. And as always, hail Wildcats.
There it is. Hail Wildcats.
Hail Wildcats. And you put a great pin on it. Fighting for the regular season championship, those top 3-4 teams. That's going to be an interesting race. Middle teams looking for seeding, particularly in the tournament. And now it looks like in terms of that final 7 and 8 seeding is going to be extremely important as we go down the stretch. Folks fighting to make sure they get in the tournament, and then possibly trying to rise up a little bit about that seeding. And it's going to be fascinating to see how the new format changes the brackets and what that looks like in the tournament. So a lot of good stuff to look forward to. You close out the sporting year with the sport of baseball, particularly in the SWAC. So I'm fascinated and excited to look for what that looks like. For people that haven't been down there live, a lot of people watch it, obviously, and sometimes certainly can understand what that looks like. But the baseball atmosphere that the SWAC tournament provides, it's like none other. So I agree with you, Coach. If you have a chance and you can get out there, support your HBCU, support your individual team. Specifically, if you just want to see some good baseball, get to Birmingham for the tournament. Get to some of your final home series and see some good baseball, as it's going to get exciting going down the stretch, and we can't wait to continue to talk about it. So thank you, Coach, for your time, giving us a little extended time as well. We look forward to getting on the dirt tomorrow and following up and see what takes place this weekend.
You got it. Appreciate you guys once again.
Good luck, Coach.
All right, you guys have a good one.
We'll take our next break and come back on the other side. That was Coach Hernandez. He's sitting at the top of the SWAC right now playing some really good baseball.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna law, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Thank you all for what you did in the first segment. I really enjoyed the second segment, so I didn't put you back to work, Charles, on another project. Hey man, we going to the Caribbean.
Yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that all day. Hey, Brian, I miss your hair Wildcats, man. We didn't hear you.
Never.
Hey, you did all you could do is to do your platitudes and congratulations. That's
yeah, I give my kudos, my props, my love, congratulations, all that. I'll never say those two words in a closing statement ever.
Oh, we got quiet over there, man.
Yeah. I'll let y'all. You guys are the professionals. I'll let you all do that.
In this segment, let's talk about some of the superlatives. Let's talk about some of these college athletes that are really having some good play in terms of what they're doing on the diamond. Let's start on the offensive side of the ball, if you would, looking at some batting average. Cardell is still doing his thing. He's batting over 450, 452 to be exact. So interesting what he's getting done. It hadn't done enough for Southern entire team to get it done in some ways. But on the front end, they have some talent. Cardell Thibodeau is really getting it done. Then you have Juan Cruz. He's batting over 400 as well, 419, getting it done. And you come right here into Houston area in our complex with Kelton Phillips, who's also batting over 400 at 414, really playing some good baseball, getting it done at the bat. You go over Alabama A&M, Trey Rutledge, another guy batting over 400, 409. So you get the theme. These gentlemen we're talking about are all over 400, including number 5, Jalen Burrell, who's batting 406. So the top 5 people on this list are all batting over 400. Thing that's interesting to me is you have 2 other gentlemen that are playing in teams that are not necessarily winning-wise doing a lot, but certainly Rutledge and Burrell are having strong seasons in terms of what they're doing together. Before I get into that, I want to talk about home runs, and then I'll ask you all to look at the 2 and give me your thoughts on that. I'm going to start at the bottom up because you got Juan Cruz, who's not only having a great batting average, but he's able to put some power in the baseball. He is tied with Cameron Hill of Grambling with 10 home runs in terms of what they're doing at the plate. Number 3, you have Damian Garcia. He has 13 home runs as he's getting number 2, Cardell Thibodeau, who's leading in the batting average but has power as he's tied with Andre Martinez with 14 home runs in terms of what they're doing thus far. So let's look a little bit about batting average and home runs. What are your thoughts in terms of the list of gentlemen getting it done in so many different ways for their teams, Charles?
Well, let me shout out Cameron Hill. His daddy texted me today. He told me back when Cam signed with Grambling, he's like, hey, the swag about to see a home run hitter, and Cameron hadn't disappointed this season. I mean, he really turns on fastballs, and he has a quick twitch bat. That's what his dad like to say. Likes to put the fat bat out there. So he does a great job. But Damian Garcia, I've had an opportunity to watch him up close, and he is on such a torrid pace right now. I believe he has 7 home runs over the past 4 games, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, wow.
He had a 4 home run game. They couldn't get him out whatsoever in that particular game against Arkansas Pine Bluff, a game they lost in 1914 loss, but he had 4 home runs in that game. But Damian Garcia,
you talking about keeping your team in the mix?
Oh my goodness,
giving them a shot.
Yeah, I mean it was amazing to sit there and watch that. But it'll be interesting to see how Alabama State pitches him this upcoming weekend because you know, when you talk about Nagel Field and McGregor Park, Texas Southern's home parks, 315 down the line, 375 in the power alleys. But you know, you get one up in those McGregor Park wins, is what I like to say, and the ball just takes off. And he is really taking advantage from the right hand side, and he has really had a power surge over the past few games.
Good stuff. Let me get your thoughts, Brian, in terms of these 2 areas, batting average and home runs. Any of the different ones stick out more to you, or are you looking at both of them?
Well, okay, so let's clarify. Are we looking at and more interested in overall, or are we looking within the conference?
I like that.
Because
let's look at the conference since we're in conference play, and we just talked about you know, who's leading the conference. On Tuesday, we talked about that record, and we can go over that a little bit in terms of Bethune-Cookman leading the way. We have a 4-way tie, as you know, between FAMU, Alabama State, Texas Southern, and Grambling sitting at 13-5, with Bethune-Cookman out there with a 3-game lead over all those teams at 16-2. And then you have fighting to make sure they finish in that A spot. Basically, these 4 teams are hovering right there, which is Jackson State, Southern, Mississippi Valley, and I'll say Arkansas Pine Bluff at 9-6, 8-10, 7-11, and 6-12. So with that being the framework in terms of conference play, what are your thoughts?
And I'm glad we're talking conference. And in years past, I've been very critical of the numbers because I think some guys I have seen have good numbers that may have gotten overlooked. But I think when our conference in the SWAC rather is you're playing pretty much 10 of the 11 opponents. And so I really think it eliminates the conversation that people will have or might have about, oh, well, he only plays the West, or, oh, he only plays the East. No, you're going to play 10 of 11, and most likely you're going to get at least probably 5 opponents, I would imagine, from each, you know? So that in itself levels it out. I would look at, you know, I think you've got to be able to, as much as the home run hitting is nice, if you're the lead home run hitter, where are you in terms of batting average? Are you top 5? You know, because I'm looking to say, okay, you know, the home run leader right now is Audrey Martinez. You know, where does he fall within the batting average? You know, is he simply just hitting homers? What is he in terms of RBIs? You know, and so I think you look at a guy like Thibodeau, who, according to the stats that I'm looking at, leads first in batting average, second in home runs. You know, hold on, I just happen to have the stats pulled up right now.
Yeah, Martinez.
RBIs, he's 4th in RBIs. Martinez is 2nd in RBIs. So
triple threat.
Yeah,
home runs, RBIs,
and number 5 in batting average. So
exactly.
So right now, if I had to handicap this race, you know, I know how y'all like me to do that sometimes. I would put sort of at about a 2-1 favorite to win hitter of the year right now on Aubrey Martinez, but real close behind him. I'd probably move him at about a 3-1. I'd put Thibodeau, and you know, don't sleep on your guy Kelton Phillips. I'm looking at his statistics. Let me see. I don't know what he's like third in terms of hits, third in runs scored, second in on base percentage. So he may not be and Charles, Charles, you correct me. He may not be a power hitter, but he's a hitter that gets on base, and it helps that his team is in the mix. So I would probably put him at about a 4-1 odd. So that's how I would handicap the first, second, and third right now. And we'll take a look at it and see what it looks like over the next couple weeks, in 2 weeks, and see if anybody has moved and where the odds are for those three guys.
Hey, what's curious? I'm curious about when we get to postseason honors, like which one of those stat lines is really going to jump out? Will it be the total number of home runs? Will it be batting average? I'm just because Thibodeau, my goodness.
I would say
for
for the coaches, I think the coaches are going to kind of look like Brian. They're going to look at several of those areas. And what did you kind of accumulate? Were you 2 or 3 in multiple areas, or top 5 in multiple areas? Now the SIDs, I think they may favor like a particular area. There's some that are critical in that look, but there's some that's either going to fall in love with home runs or batting average versus a cumulative. Brian, you were about to jump and say what you believe they should look at, and what is that?
Well, 2 stats I would say. I would look at the SWAC has this OPS stat.
OPS, yeah.
On base slugging percentage, which is the combination of not just the on base percentage, but the slugging percentage, right? So, if you want to really get nerdy, let's get nerdy. I mean, because if you love baseball, there's got to be a little nerd in you. You cannot love baseball and not have a little bit of nerd in you about the stats. So if we're gonna get all in and be nerdy, that's what you should be looking at. And I, God forbid, I'd love to know if somebody put any kind of like WAR numbers out there, like wins above replacement. Like let's really get deep
that would be really fun.
I would really love to figure out what the formula is for that and see, well, who is like that guy that statistically he matters that much more to his team than others. So if I were an SID, hey, I'm just throwing this out there because I know SIDs watch the show, I'd be trying to figure out how to calculate WAR, and then I would throw some WAR numbers out there and say, hey, look at our guy. He's tops in the league by a large margin in the WAR. And be like, hey,
that's got to be.
I like that. And that last week, we'll make sure if somebody does that, we'll make sure that we showcase it on the show as we go into the tournament. We'll do that both on our shows and the Sunday night going in there. So great point. We got an assignment for some of those SIDs. Now, if you want a little bit more love and find a way to get in the mix, we got some stuff for you. Give it to us and we'll get it out there. Go ahead, Charles.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying, I just thinking about war. That hasn't hurt Thibodeau because right now, Southern, they're not winning games. Statistically, he's one of the best players in the SWAC.
Oh, ain't no doubt. Ain't no doubt. But yeah, that's what I pointed out earlier. It's not translating in terms of the overall success of the team. Before we take this last break, I did want to talk about stolen bases because some guys are getting it done. Top 5. Texas Southern has 2 players in the top 5. You got Kelton Phillips sitting at 23. Southern's Jacoby Ratcliffe at 27. Jordan McClatty, Jackson State with 31. You have Alabama A&M Trey Rutledge, as I said, batting average, and once he gets on, he's going to take him a base or 2 with 32. Then you have Texas Southern Bryce Hughes sitting up there. He's already clipped 40 stolen bases on the season, so that's very impressive. We'll take our last break. We'll come back on the other side. We'll talk about some of these matchups, but we'll also let these gentlemen give you some thoughts in terms of those on the defensive side when we look at the pitchers in terms of wins, ERAs, and even strikeouts. With that being said, let's take our last break and come back on the other side and talk just about that.
It's like a loop machine. All around town, people trying to get down. It's like a loop machine.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Sonia from She Say Sports. Make sure to check us out every Friday morning at 9 a.m. on Black College Sports Network, YouTube, and Linktree. And please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Let's get back into it in terms of looking at some of these wins in terms of the top five. We have Jafet Martinez with 5 wins thus far. Bethune-Cookman Edwin Sanchez with 6, who's also tied with FAMU's Garrett Workman with 6 wins. And then you get into Southern, Nick Luckett with 7 wins. And Tanner Bacabello with 7 wins tied along with Luckett. So again, you have another case where Southern has a superlative in the top 5, but it's not transferring enough for, series wins or adding up series wins in terms of where they are in the standings. So something interesting. But check this out. ERA, you have 3 FAMU rattlers in the top 5, starting with Garrett Workman at 4.17. You have Alabama State's Jonathan LeBoy at 3.97. Eric Elliott at 3.33. Get back to a rattler, which is Carson Kelly at 3.16. And Caleb Granger is under 3 at 2.54, sitting at the top of the conference. And the last one I'd like to see you all get your thoughts on is strikeouts. In this case, we have 2 Wildcats and 2 Tigers in terms of Jackson State Tigers in the top 5, with literally the Alabama State Hornets sandwich right in the middle. Starting with number 5 is Jackson State, Eric Elliott, 55 strikeouts. Bethune-Cookman's Edwin Sanchez at 57. Johan Lavoie for Alabama State with 62 strikeouts. And Joel Core with 63 strikeouts for the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats. And Eric Gonzalez for the Jackson State Tigers sitting at number 1 with 73 strikeouts. I'm going to start with you, Brian. What are your thoughts in terms of wins, ERA, and strikeouts thus far this season?
Well, again, as Coach Hernandez had said, Tanner right now is, because I was just looking at this earlier here, in between Bacabello, Edwin Sanchez, and Joel Core. Notice you got that's his 1, 2, and 3, right? You notice all 3 of those guys in various categories, whether it be the wins or the ERA or the strikeouts. And what's impressive is for Bacabello is 7 wins, and I don't think Bethune has won every series in the SWAC that they have played. And if I'm not mistaken, I think they have won it. Well, they lost to Jackson State, the first game of the Jackson State series. So that's probably the one loss that Bacabello has. But every other series in the SWAC, they've got off to a good win, big wins, right? So I'd be hard pressed to see that trend change. But I'll tell you, I watched that young man Joel Core. He was mowing Rattlers down on day 2, and so it's a tough core, man. That's a tough group. I'm telling you now, that's a tough group. They're gonna be problems for people that they stay healthy, get into the tournament 1, 2, 3 days. What when you win 3 games? What does that put you in the SWAC tournament usually? Then they put you into that championship game.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm telling you right now, they're looking really good. Looking really good.
That's all right.
Good stuff. Charles, what are your thoughts?
Obviously you pay attention to ERA and wins and losses, but the 3 stats that actually jump out for me in terms of taking a look at pitching. Obviously, I look at the strikeouts, just getting a feel for who has stuff. But it's the variance between the walks and the strikeouts. That's the kind of the thing that jumps out for me, especially when we take a look at pitching in this conference where guys have a tendency to put guys on and it kind of creates big innings. But, when you take a look at Joel Core, 68 strikeouts versus 21 walks. Good control. I love seeing stuff like that. Eric Gonzalez, same thing, 75 strikeouts versus 33 walks. And then the other statistic that I take a look at is opponent's batting average. How are they doing against them? So those are the 3 things that really stick out for me in regards to pitching.
Good stuff. As we come to a close, let's look at some of these matchups this weekend. I want to see what sticks out to you. I'm going to start with you, Charles. I'm going to go through the list of games, matchups, and you can pick 2 or 3 that you really have your eye on and tell us why. Let's start with Jackson State versus Alcorn State in the rivalry game between Jackson State Tigers and the Alcorn State Braves. That series will be interesting. Jackson State really needs to continue to win and stack those wins up so they can climb in terms of the seeding to finish out the season, particularly for the tournament. Then you have an intriguing here, Texas Southern Alabama State. They may capture some of your interest there. As Tigers versus the Hornets. We hadn't seen this matchup on the diamond in many, many moons, literally decades, other than the conference tournament. Then you go in one that is probably off the radar for many, but may have a interest for some. That is Mississippi Valley State. Traveling to Baton Rouge and Southern. Valley has a chance to make a major statement with potentially getting a win on the road at Southern. They certainly have to get one, but if they can find a way to get the series or magically find a way to get those brooms out and sweep a team, boy, you talking about one thing that Valley will be in serious contention in terms of making the tournament one way. But boy, what will be the talk in Baton Rouge? Then you have Grambling State and FAMU. This has been interesting in multiple ways. Basketball, there's something going on between these schools. Football has been interesting, but now on the Diamond baseball field, you have Grambling traveling to Tallahassee. These teams are literally tied with 2 other teams in the second spot. So in terms of where they fit chasing down the regular season, this is extremely important matchup. Then you have Prairie View A&M and Alabama A&M in terms of 2 teams that are struggling at this time. So somebody gets to feel probably a little better about themselves, being able to get the series. If they can find a way to sweep one way or the other, you certainly now get a chance for one of these teams to put themselves back in a position to be chasing probably that 8 seed, if not maybe trying to sneak to the 7. Finally, we had Coach On Hernandez with Bethune-Cookman and Arkansas Pine Bluff. It speaks for itself. You're talking about literally 2 of the hottest teams right now in the league for sure. So I'm intrigued about that. I did talk about Texas Southern Alabama State, but I didn't say that they're tied. The other 2 teams tied for second. So obviously, in terms of coming out of that 3-game series, is important for both teams. So, Charles, what are you looking at? What sticks out to you? Where are your eyes going this weekend in terms of a couple of games that have your interest?
My eyes immediately go to Baton Rouge. When you talk about that Valley Southern series, like you said, this is a huge weekend for Mississippi Valley in terms of to make a statement going up against quote unquote a pedigree program. And if Southern's it's time for Southern to put their foot on the gas now. I mean, after this weekend,
You talking about put the foot on the gas? Can they just push it a little bit?
they're gonna have to do something because after this weekend, they go to Texas Southern next weekend. You would have to think Texas Southern would be the favorite at home next weekend. Then they on the road at Alabama A&M, and then they finish things out with Jackson State. Yeah, listen, the wins might be scarce after this weekend. So I don't know.
I would say this: he has Carlos just having some conniptions. So if they can't find a way to get that win on Friday, going to their show on Saturday, it's going to be a problem.
It's going to be a problem.
With that being said, what's on your mind for some of these games we talked about this week?
Oh man, the schedule makers, they get an A+ for this weekend. They get A+ for this weekend, and I'm glad we're talking about it because more people should be talking about this weekend because you have three, of course, spotlight series, right? The first two hottest teams that you just mentioned, but then that cluster of 2 through 6, they all play each other this weekend.
All play each other this weekend.
How great is that? So you're going to get some kind of a shuffle in some form of capacity this year.
That's right.
And right here at the almost midway point of the season where everybody's attention now, you're turned towards the home stretch. I was going to say Atlanta, but it's in Birmingham. You can start to see Birmingham down the road, and everyone's trying to fight to get there. And I'm excited, and I'll briefly touch on this FAMU Grambling matchup. Look, we had up until we got to Atlanta, and what's crazy about that, in Atlanta, in Georgia, we have owned Grambling. We have owned the G. It's like Hugh Jackson was back in the building, and we took G's off helmets.
Give me that G. It's
exactly.
mine.
We were taking G's off helmets. That's how bad we were beating Grambling up until when it mattered. And they took 2 from us, knocked the defending champs out, and went on to do their own thing, right? So now I wonder, this is the first time I think I'm looking at the Grambling site. This might be the first time in who knows how long Grambling has come to Tallahassee to play, which is the beauty of our new format now. Can FAMU find their bats? We're in a bit of a losing streak. I think we've lost like 7 in a row now. So, it's just the offense has got to get going. The pitching hadn't been that bad, but the offense really hadn't been as great or good as it's been in the weeks prior to. So, we'll find out. East versus West showdowns. Let's see what really matters.
I'll tell you what, you get a chance to see Cameron Hill up close this weekend. He's special.
Oh no, I saw him at the Cactus Jack. I'm just hoping the wind is blowing in and that the heat is bothersome. I'm hoping that the heat kicks up to about 90 and he's like, man, this Tallahassee heat is different than the Louisiana heat. I don't know. That's what I hope.
Man, great job. Really excited in terms of the baseball. We discussed this today, but certainly want to continue to say our prayers and condolences to all those that know Mr. HBCU baseball is what I'll refer to him at this point, Mr. Michael Coker, who lost his battle with cancer, and he fought so diligent. And really his dream was to put on the Black College World Series, and we all in some capacity were a part of that and saw it come to fruition. He was able to do it several times. And so we're working feverish to see how we can kind of push that forward. But we certainly wanted to acknowledge him as he's now become an ancestor and the work that he's done on behalf of HBCUs in the area that we heard from the show today, that everybody has not maybe pushed the needle as much as they could. He certainly was out the forefront and one of the first ones to get on board with that as he worked as a writer for the Black College Nines in terms of getting a lot of that work done during the season and even creating a postseason event, which was extremely important because we see it at the Division I level. You have the NCAA tournament in terms of the College World Series that gets, a decent amount of the television limelight out there. But for the what we recall the mid-major division, what the Black College Nine refers to as the small college division for the NAIA, NCAA, you didn't have a lot of teams making the tournament. Obviously we just got the news that you have now the automatic berth in terms of at least football, but you don't have that at the Division II level. So you have to have a certain seating, and unlike basketball, where you at least were flexed and had room for a while, you didn't see that. And he was able to put together a postseason that involved the NAIA, the NCAA Division II, with a lot of us and a lot of folks that partnered with him to see it done, but much of it was certainly his vision. So I wanted to pay a little bit of homage to him as we close it out for all those that are certainly feeling that pain. So thank you for allowing me to get that off my chest. You gentlemen celebrating with me in terms of getting this baseball information out. Great interview you all participated in. So thanks again. As I love talking to Brian and Charles, folks that really have a lot of baseball in their blood. Brian adds on the pneumatic message in a lot of ways, taking the place of Mike, who likes to get in the numbers. And Brian has this specialty because a little bit about Las Vegas in terms of what that means. Certainly, and shout out to AD Drew. He started things off earlier with his first tribute to Michael Coker. So I wanted to make sure that he was out there in the forefront. The articles that came out on BCSN to make sure that we paid a homage to somebody that was great at what they did. So thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share your podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Watts, Charles Bishop. Again, tomorrow we'll have it. We're looking to see if we can have it streaming, but we're certainly typing it. So we'll make sure that you get a chance to do posts if we don't do it live, and some of you won't be able to see it live. Tomorrow at Texas Southern University in the College of Education, 318, we will continue with the HBCU Sports ecosystem as we bring in the ADs. Today we had the commissioners come on board, and we have a couple of those that are aligning on the business side, NIL talk, some experts out in that area, influencers will come in, giving some updates, and all this is to make sure our students, staff, and faculty get a glimpse of not just the sports world, but specifically what does it look like from an HBCU perspective. So I'm excited about the ADs that come in there. So with that, let's celebrate Brian and Charles as they get ready to kind of keep a glance on the NFL tracker to see if their teams is going to find a way to get it right. I'm not so sure about that. I'll let them text me some updates. I'll find a way not to watch that. Some other things I need to do, or at least that's my excuse as I kind of tune off the NFL. That's a whole nother discussion, but that doesn't mean I take the love for everybody else that does do that. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Watson and Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 o'clock. I want to give a special shout out to Roy that quietly does a lot of work behind the scenes. I appreciate his diligence in making these things happen for us, that we can be on the forefront. So we look forward to next week as we discuss the latest news in the lab. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil. That's DrKenyatta Cavil. That's Threads, Facebook, and Instagram. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on YouTube and Facebook, as you know. Dream big and continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles.
Of course.
Brian.
Lecture.
Dismiss.